So we're gonna be playing this, and I'm not gonna fumble. I fumbled. Hello everyone and welcome to the Beginner's Guide. This is by the same person that made the Stanley Parable. I fucking love the Stanley Parable, and then now I'm going to fucking love this. So let's get right into it. Can you tell how many times I tried that?
Hi there. Thank you very much for playing the Beginner's Guide. My name is Davey Reedon. I wrote the Stanley Parable, and while that game tells a pretty absurd story, today I'm going to tell you about a series of events that happened between 2008 and 2011. We're going to look at the games made by a friend of mine named Coda. Now, these games mean a lot to me. I met Coda in early 2009 at a time when I was really struggling with some personal stuff, and his work pointed me in a very powerful direction. I found it to be a good reference point for the kinds of creative works that I wanted to make. So just to start you off, this is, I think, the first game he ever made.
Ooh.
It's a level for Counter-Strike. You can walk around here, by the way. Mostly it's just Coda learning the basics of building a 3D environment.
Ooh,
but what I like is that even though he starts from the simple aesthetic of a desert town, he then scatters these colorful abstract blobs and impossible floating crates around the level. And of course, it destroys the illusion that this actually is a desert town, and instead this level becomes a kind of calling card from its creator. It's like a reminder that this video game was constructed by a real person. And it kind of makes you wonder, what was going through his head as he was building this? This is what I like about all of Coda's games. I mean, not that they're all fascinating as games, but that they are all going to give us access to their creator. I want us to see past the games themselves. I want to get to know who this human being really is. And that's exactly what we're going to do here.
Yay!
So, it's 2008, Coda starts making these games, and he never releases any of them. He doesn't put them onto the internet, he just makes them and then immediately abandons them, and they sit on his computer forever. And I think he really understood this image of himself as a recluse. At one point, he jokingly renamed his computer's recycling bin to Important Games Folder. So, this was just how he worked. He tended to crank them out one after the other without even really pausing to try to understand what he had just made, until suddenly one day, he just stopped. In 2011, that was it. He made his last game, and then he hasn't made another one since. And that's why I've taken this opportunity to gather all of his work together, is because I find his games powerful and interesting, and I'd like this collection to reach him, to maybe encourage him to start creating again. And if the people like you who play this also happen to find his work interesting, then I'm sure it'll just send that much stronger of a message of encouragement to Coda. So thanks for joining me on this. If you have a particular interpretation that I haven't mentioned here, or if you just need to get in touch, you can email me at daveywreden@gmail.com. Okay, that's about it for introduction. Let's take a look at Coda's first proper game.
Hey.
As each game is loading, I'll show you the date that it was completed. This first one was made in November 2008.
4 years after my birth.
Oh, warning. Whisper machine active. Shift destruction imminent.
This game is called Escape from Whisper, and it's one of the more generic games you'll see from Coda.
Am I gonna have to shoot something? I think it went out by my...
Security code breached. Hostile alien life form inbound.
It kinda looks like this game was abandoned mid-development. For instance, you have this gun, which you'd think would indicate that there are supposed to be monsters or enemies somewhere, but then clearly there are no enemies anywhere. You can't even reload the gun when you run out of bullets. But ultimately we don't really know. Maybe Coda thought that actually it was complete the way that it is. And I think that we should talk about his games for what they are, rather than for what they're not.
Yeah.
I love how you can see the bottom of the universe from this room.
Oh.
Apparently this space station has a labyrinth on it. Sure, I don't know. There's really no reason for it that I've ever been able to discern, so in the interest of time, I'm just gonna skip you on past it.
Oh, fair enough.
Okay, this is the part that's interesting. The game has this narrative about the whisper machine and how it has to be turned off, and then you get to the engine room.
Is this the whisper machine?
Hey, you there, in the engine room. You could save us all. That beam is powering the whisper machine. We could disrupt it by introducing a great enough heat signature. If your body could stop the beam. It's so much to ask, but for all of our lives, would you do it? Could you give yourself?
Sure. It's a game after all. Oh.
Let me pause here for a second. What you just experienced, stepping into the beam and then dying, is probably what Coda had initially intended when he was developing this level. But when he first compiles and plays it, something goes wrong. There's a bug somewhere. And this is what happens instead.
Oh.
The beam causes you to start floating. And this is an important moment for him. Because yes, this is technically a glitch, but Coda identifies something human about it. Like how small it
Oh, I
makes
see
you
the
feel
way
in the
you'd have
face
to
of
go.
this larger chaotic system. Or this floating could be the afterlife, a peaceful place, juxtaposed against all of the hysteria that you've just had to traverse. I don't even know. I have no idea what he was thinking, but what's clear is that after making this, something lodges itself in his brain. He wants to do more of these really weird and experimental designs. So he stops work on this and moves on to a stream of tiny little games that go in all sorts of directions. Let's go ahead and take a look at the first game he made after leaving this one behind.
November 2008 again. The past was behind her. Ooh.
Yep, in this game you can only walk backwards. So
the
it's a
future
short
could not
and
be
relatively minimalist experiment combining motion and narrative. It is less advanced than the previous game, but actually it seems to be more
Changing. Why does the
focused,
future
more
keep
complete.
changing?
Coda's trying to give it a unique voice rather than simply basing it on a pre-existing trope.
When she stops and looks, it becomes clearer. But if the future is always behind her, how will she find the strength to confront it?
It's a short little thought,
Oh.
it says what it wants to say, and then it ends. Didn't need anything more than that. Which to me is why it works, because it gets out quick. Okay, next one.
You are now entering. Oh,
And that's it. Okay, the meaning of this game won't be clear just yet. Please be patient with me for a few more games, and I promise you'll see what makes it interesting.
okay. December 2008. No,
Oftentimes, Coda would put bizarre titles like this one at the start of his games.
Ah,
I wish I'd known him at the time that he was making these early games. He would
It's
really
that
only
case.
talk to me about his work as he was making it. Once he stopped work on a game, like, that was it. It was dead to him. And I don't agree with that at all, but what are you gonna do?
oh,
Once you've been slowed to an absolute crawl, the door at the top of the stairs opens. So why, if Coda's not showing these games to anyone, why bother opening the door at all? Well, to show you, I'm modifying the game here so that when you press enter, it'll bring you back up to full speed so you can enter the door for yourself.
okay. Player's pair of floating eyes. Oh, you are a queen dusting your jewelry while your kingdom is destroyed. Play as the camera films an advert as we're walking
A
around
room
on
that's
set.
warm
But she
and
just
nice and filled with little ideas for games.
A button you press to stop the chaos that doesn't work. Ooh.
Coda would often tell me that he didn't mind if people thought of him as cold or distant. He said that he knew that he was actually a vibrant and compassionate person, but that it takes time to really see that. It can be a very slow climb to get there.
I like this one. You run a shop inside your own body, selling your organs strategically to make the most money before you die. January 2009. Oh. Ready, set, fish. Got an orange bar. I don't know. That makes me feel a certain way. I don't know what he reminds me of, but it reminds me of something.
Well, this is new for Coda. It's an actual puzzle. Go ahead and see if you can solve it.
Whoop. Huh.
Don't forget that solution, because we're going to see this puzzle again soon.
Cool.
We're gonna see it a lot.
Love a good puzzle. Oh,
So that seems to be it, right? You walk down a corridor, you solve a puzzle, you get to the end. Simple enough.
Yeah.
All right, now I'm going to modify the game again so that when you press enter, it'll remove all of the walls from this room.
Wow.
How about that? There was more to it than we had any way of knowing. I actually find it funny that this game comes after the Stairs game, since they essentially convey the opposite idea. So, in the Stairs game, a dull exterior concealed a rich interior. And then, in this level, a dull interior hides this fantastic outer world. Either way, I think that the point is the same, is that most of the time you don't get to know what you're missing, or even that you're missing anything. That's not your role as a player. So if your role here is not to understand, then what is it?
I think it's just to enjoy. January 2009. You are now exiting.
Aha! So this, combined with the entering game from earlier, tells us that Coda believes his games are connected somehow. It could even be that the Stairs game and the puzzle game are literally connected in between this and the entering game. There's a bigger picture that all of his games are meant to play a role in, some larger meaning that we won't be able to grasp until we've seen all of them. And once we have, we can step back and start to understand what exactly that bigger picture is.
Isn't the role of a player in a game just to enjoy the game? The great and lovely desert. Ooh.
Let's talk about video game development for a second. Every video game runs on what's called an engine, which determines what the game can and cannot do. So in other words, the engine is a set of tools for game development. To make all of these games, Coda is using an engine called Source. Like all engines, Source has certain things that it does well, and it has certain things that it does poorly. One of the things that it does very well is boxy linear corridors. That's why so many of Coda's games are set in these large, flat, empty rooms, is just because he's working with what the engine does well. The tools available to the creator shape what kinds of creative work they're going to end up making. You might consider paying attention to the architecture in Coda's games to notice how they seem to stem from an engine that's very good at producing linear, boxy corridors.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Oh.
This prison, funny enough, in Coda's original design, the doors stayed shut for a full hour before letting you go. If you don't mind, I think we're gonna skip that. This is something that he and I used to argue about a lot. You know, whether a game ought to actually be playable, whether it means anything if no one can get through it. And I would always defend that, you know, all this work goes into the game, why not make it playable and accessible? And so we just got into heated arguments over it, and there was one time that after one of these conversations, he went home, and a day or two later, he sent me a zip file entitled Playable Games that was full of hundreds of individual games, each of which was just an empty box that you walked around in and nothing else. Believe me, I played every single one of those just to find out if there was like a gag hidden somewhere. There wasn't. It's the puzzle again, with the exact same solution as the last time. There's still no clear indication of what makes this puzzle so special that Coda is going to return to it over and over. But I promise I'll share with you my interpretation very shortly.
I think it's just about getting trapped, right? The risk of not being able to move forwards. Because you have to put your trust that... Oh. You have to put your trust in the developer that they did actually make a way out. You there, did you come from up above?
Here, Coda begins using a kind of dialogue system that he fashioned out of the engine's chat capabilities. Use the 1, 2, 3 buttons on your keyboard to respond.
That's the world above, you've been there. Now this is important. Did you have to get through a puzzle with 2 doors and a switch? Yes, I did. It was literally the last thing I did before coming here. Again, perfect. Now please tell us how you solve it. Tell us the solution. Tell us how you get to the other side. Trust me, you don't want to go over there. Oh no, but we do, we need to get there. Did you understand? It is the most important thing in the world. You have to escape the prison. There must be an ending. I promise you, there is nothing I want more. Hello, how did you get here? It was a puzzle that you had to pass. Been right here. I suggest you go and see the puzzle sometime. It's not meant to be solved, but you can sit in the blank space in the middle. What happens if I solve it? Not sure, but if I have any suspicion what you find won't be worth what I take, well. Okay. Down these stairs I go. Is there going to be a puzzle?
And so we make one last descent down to the final floor of the level.
Oh, a lamppost.
It's a lamppost. Okay, I can't tell you quite why, but for some reason, Coda fixates on this lamppost. It's going to appear at the end of every single one of his games from here on out. I'll tell you what I think. I think that up to this point, you know, he's been making really strange and abstract games with no clear purpose, and maybe you can only float around in that headspace for so long. Because now he wants something to hold on to. He wants a reference point. He wants the work to be leading to something. He wants a destination, which is what this lamppost is. It's a destination. We're going to see it in the work as well. His games are just going to become a lot more cohesive, a lot more fully developed, with more of a clear idea behind them. And as we go, that idea will get clearer and clearer and clearer.
Okay. What's the next game? April 2009. The game is connected to the internet. As you walk around, you can leave notes. Or notes you see are left by other players, but I thought you said that none of his games were ever released. Nice room, no?
So first off, I'm sure you can deduce this, but this game is not connected to the internet. All of the notes that you're gonna see have been written by Coda. This was actually the first game of his that I ever played. This was shortly after I met him at a weekend game jam in Sacramento, where I grew up. I saw him working on this very level, and it was just so different from anything that anyone else was doing. So right away I was like, I have to be friends with this person.
Reasonable.
In retrospect, I think I was probably a bit too pushy, trying to get his attention. I was over-enthusiastic. But he was very gracious about it and very patient with me. And I cooled off eventually. Oh, feel free to skip over any of these notes if they're not doing anything for you. Nothing extra is going to happen if you read all of them. Either way, to me they convey a sense of loneliness. I see this person who's filled with thoughts and feelings and beliefs and has no way to express them except as scattered and unheard voices in a game that wasn't meant to be played.
I like the fact they changed colour.
But it's ironic, isn't it? That in playing this game and seeing how alone Coda often felt, that we get to know him better and actually kind of connect with him. And I have to be honest with you, this idea is really seductive to me. That I could just play someone's game and see the voices in their head and get to know them better and have to do less of the messy in-person socializing. I could just get to know you through your work.
That's a bit parasocial.
I think this is why I always liked Coda's games so much, is because it felt like they let me have that connection. I felt as though he was inviting me personally into his world. And then I feel less lonely too.
You're internalizing this a bit too much. It's a bit parasocial. Yes, there can be a connection between someone and their work, but also there's also a difference between someone and their work. You can't fully know someone through just their work. That's only part of what they're showing you, really. And though this world does give like a sense of, if Coda was the person that wrote all of these notes, maybe it is a sense of like loneliness and feeling like belonging, but then it could also just be a place to let it all out, you know, because a lot of people might have like constant, like people with ADHD having constant thoughts running through their head. It can be nice just to write it down and feel like you're letting it out kind of vibe, you know? That's a beautiful piece. I know I might not be reading them, but he was himself the most horrible creature he could imagine. A bit mean. Ding.
At the end of this level, we're going to see the puzzle again. And here, I'll tell you what I think the puzzle means. Each of these games represents an idea that was on Coda's mind at the time that he was making it. And the puzzle is a way of closing the door on a previous chapter of his life before moving on to the next one. In each of his games, after exploring a theme that, he might find difficult, Coda can then place this puzzle that he knows has a reliable solution, he understands exactly how it works, and so it gives him a simple mechanism for moving on. And because there's this dark area between the doors, a space between spaces, before you move on, you get to pause. Just for a moment, a few seconds to reflect on and let go of the events that led you here. To step back and connect the pieces together. To grasp at that elusive bigger picture.
think the fact there's only one note in here makes sense. How do you lose it? Are you there? Please say something. It can be anything. I just need you to say something. Talk to me, please. Why are you having so much difficulty talking and speak? May and June 2009. I love the sound of typewriters. It's such a, like a...
Okay, this one is tough. It's gonna kinda just spin its own wheels for a few minutes. Hang with it.
Okay. Oh. Oh. Oh, that was really weird. It's like it wouldn't let me through at first. Where am I going? It feels like I'm like going down to a club, like a really posh club, like a fancy lounge. That's a better word for it. Fancy lounge. Oh. It's the well.
See, like, this is it. The whole game. And there's nothing that's particularly interesting about it. You just walk to the end of a hallway. Except, for some reason, Coda gets really fixated on this prison that has all of this modern furniture. And I don't know why, but he decides he needs to revisit this prison. He's gonna start over, use the same assets, turn it into something else. Okay, cool. Here's version 2.
Okay. Ooh. Oh, the furniture ought to go in the center of the room. How about a TV with surround sound, refrigerator, giant hole in the ground? TV. Oh, it's a table. Okay, now what about a long wall of the room? Let's put a huge picture of a horse. Porsche Museum tends to line up against, I say, stoves. Oh, prefer. I think we should light up the room a bit. A skylight ceiling, I'm thinking put a live Tesla coil in each corner. Yeah, live Tesla coil. A table, you need a table. Who are you exactly? I'm pretty sure none of these choices are making a difference. Table were invented in 19... I swear none of these choices are making any difference. Ooh.
There's a bit more to this one, but still it's not really communicating anything. It's kind of just weird for weirdness' sake.
Keeps going. Oh.
So okay, he throws it out and starts over. This time he comes at the prison idea from a different direction.
Right. Hello, please walk forwards. This guide will enable you to escape any prison environment. Follow the instructions carefully. Take care of the first click on the table. Good. Go over to the photo frame and click to turn it slightly. Now turn the floor lamp in this room off and then turn it back on. Now go to the left side sofa and move it a little. Finally touch the shelves. That's it, it's a real prison. The escape will now open. Return to the start to be taken back to your prison. Okay. Return.
And of course, now the table is gone and you can't begin the chain of events to escape. Here's a version where there are no bars, but you can't actually get to the well. And then a version where the inside of the prison is the outside and the outside is the inside. Let me just blink you real quick through a few more of these. I mean, he really unloaded on this prison idea. There's nearly a dozen of them. Personally, I think it's awful to watch this, to see a person basically unraveling through their work. And for what? Like, at what point do you just go, maybe there are game ideas other than this prison that I could be working on? But Coda doesn't have that voice telling you to stop, that particular mechanism of defense against yourself. Without it, you just spiral. And so he keeps going and going and going and going and going, and then he hits on something. And he likes it. And that's it. He's done. He stops making prisons.
Well, that's what you wanted.
This is the very last version of the prison game that he created. And the reason I think it works is that the prison is not actually in it.
Well, like, you can't really say he's unraveling when, you know, he's not. He's just trying to find something that he wanted. You know? Fleshing out all these ideas until something sticks, you know, just throwing stuff at a wall until it sticks. You know, I think that's the same. Hello. Oh. Hello? Who is this? Hi, it's me. It's you from after you escaped prison. You're me? So you were trapped in this prison too? Yeah. Yes, I found it in the...
It's a conversation. And so this is what Coda wants,
Yeah,
is to be
escape
able to
tutorial.
talk to someone, to share what's on his mind,
That's where I am
and to
right
get some
now.
good advice from someone who knows.
I'm so glad to know why.
But the
Yeah,
irony is that
mentally.
even in this scenario,
like to
you're still
escape?
talking to yourself. You know,
Right,
all of
you've
these
got
games
all
so
the
far
being in the
are
prison. It's
Coda
like
talking
strange,
to himself.
but in a way, I kind of miss being in the prison. I feel like being completely still and wildly in motion at the same time. Do you feel any different? Sometimes I'm scared I'll get out and then things will be exactly the same as before. No, I'm really the same person as I was back then. It actually does change. I don't feel like the same person at all. Give them some hope. Oh, good. That's so nice to hear. That makes me feel really happy. Age just kind of does that, you know. I'm still me, but I'm not somehow... It's hard to describe. Remember the joy being who you really are. It won't last. Wait, if you're me, then did you get a call from another version of you when you were trapped? I did get a call. That's how I escaped. I feel like that's... What did they tell you? What did they have... All they told me was to be sincere. They asked me how I felt about being imprisoned. They just talked to me for a while. What? That freed you? How does that work? Listen, you can't know until you're out, but I promise it works. Just talk to me. Okay, I can talk. Let's just talk for a bit. Will you be here? I will be here as long as you need. It is
I
like
can see
Coda
why he
talking to
considers
himself.
this a fitting conclusion to the prison games. After all of the obsession and frustration, just to be told by someone you can trust that things are going to be okay. Wouldn't that be nice?
It's a reassurance thing. I think it's some...
So
it's
what would it look
Coda
like
talking
if
to
Coda
himself.
wanted to make a game about talking to someone other than himself?
That one has really annoying me now. Get in there.
To me,
Please.
this environment is meant to represent Coda's puzzle, with the two doors on either side and a dark transitional space between.
Hello. Oh my goodness, I'm glad as heck that you showed up. Thought I might have to clean this entire house all by myself. And right miserable that would have been. Everyone knows lonesome hands make lousy homes. Don't worry about me, a place this nice.
You'll
I'll be
notice
glad
that
to
the
stay here all
quality of
night.
the art is a step up from previous games, including this new and improved chat system,
Well,
which
now
he started
you just
using
might be
from this
getting
point
a little ahead
on.
of yourself there.
From here
No?
on out, he begins
Why don't
putting
you
much
start
more
cleaning
effort
them?
into the
You
visual
decide
polish of his
whether
work.
you do it
And this
all night.
particular
I'll
game took
finish up
2
here
months to
in the
create as a
meantime.
result.
Can you please clean the table? Much nicer. That's the table I want to see. Will you please into the bedroom and make the bed? Will do. Where's the bedroom? While you're in there, why don't you straighten out the rug a little bit? Whoop. Do you enjoy being a house cleaner? rest in the pity of, oh, my soul just can't be soothed by the way it seems, which I guess is all that matters. Oh, that untidy couch would be straight in the pillows and on the sofa. Whap! Oh dear, looks like someone spilled a drink over by the couch. Mark that up as long as you're over here. I feel compelled to share includes a cheesy personal insight. You okay with that? Make it especially cheesy. No. Oh! No, it was stupid. Sorry, never mind. Hey, those dishes need to be washed. You don't have... Yeah. There you go. Last I checked, the tub needed a clean. How about you scrub it down? Scrub. And there's some books scattered on the floor on the bedroom, if you would. Yeah, sure. Tidy. Perfect. Now, how about you come and clean these dishes off the table?
After the intense set of prison games, this house cleaning level almost feels like cleansing. It's the moment after a particularly difficult or traumatic experience where you just need to let it sit and digest inside of you,
Darling,
and
let me tell you
eventually
something.
cohere into
In
something
your lifetime,
meaningful.
you're going to clean a lot of houses. Along all of these, a few of them will stick out as truly wonderful, beautiful experiences, and none of them will be the ones that were easy. Just something to think about.
I
while
know
you
that
see
Coda
down
really
the
liked
road of
this
the
game.
bedroom.
Of all of his work, actually, this was the only one that he called me up to ask me to come over and look at it. This was during a period of a few months where he was like grossly happy all the time. Just walked around with a constant smile on his face.
Earlier when I said I had a really cheesy thing, I was going to say that it occurred to me that the house is a lot like one's soul. You take care of it and it takes care of you, huh? Don't know why I felt so weird about saying it. There's a bit of truth in it though. Anyway, so housekeeping. Let's keep doing this. Books, would you please clean up the books? Thanks. Books. Oh goodness, this pillow's over on the couch are a real mess.
I'm glad he made this.
Jane,
I'm glad he found some peace.
Question. Yes?
But,
Do you enjoy
of course, it can't last. The music stops, your companion is gone, it's time to leave. The door at the top of the hill is now open as well. Again, you can't stay in the dark space for too long. You just can't. You have to keep moving. It's how you stay alive.
You can't be in comfort forever, I guess. You have to step out of your comfort zone eventually. Lamppost. Ding.
Which is the whole point of the puzzle doors, right? That sooner or later you have to pick up and move. I really thought that was the point of it.
Why did you come here today? Was it to improve your life? Was it to get a better job? Was it to make your relationship more meaningful? No. You come here to become perfect. Ooh. The workplace is going to teach you how to be perfect. I want your friends and people alive to look at you and think, wow, this person is a better human being than I am. Right now, why do you think about the way in your own life? Why do you know who is so well developed as a person that you make you feel disgusted with yourself compared to whom you feel useless, selfish, ungrateful? I intend to make you into the person perfection is within your grasp. And the question is not how you do it, but how do we do it effortlessly. This is easy. It is
About
so
halfway
easy.
through
It
the
is
game,
so
the
easy.
perspective
Being
shifts.
perfect is effortless. This is key. How do I achieve this?
And you play as
Way
the
to
teacher.
work, I am an elderly
And suddenly,
person. I
you
start
discover
teaching
that your
this
teacher is just as bigoted and afraid as you are. Oh, and also you can move around the classroom now.
I will let tell you that right now, if it isn't effortless, this is, thank goodness all of you being wise and drink is not hurting my life. If you're torturing yourself trying to find the right solution in your life, you are not. Wow. Oh, wrong. Do you understand that you won't be happy until you love me? This is for you. Ew, I'm developing a cyst. Gross. Seek out only what is easy. Just get it anyway. Wow. Holy shit, you guys, things coming out of the back of the room. Look out. No, nothing, no one. It's coming for you, it's going to destroy you. Everyone run!
I felt pretty hard for this one. I feel like it's one of the most relatable experiences that you can have. To assume that some other person is perfect and totally fulfilled in every way, and completely miss all of the little flaws that make them painfully human.
But you seem
I think
to
about
miss
this
that
game a
with
lot
Coda.
these days.
That's how you treat Coda though, isn't it?
This one took a lot longer than all the others for Coda to make. It was 4 months between this and the last one. That's twice as long as it took him to make any other game before this, and it's not like it's particularly complex, so I remember I found that a little strange at the time.
Man has a life, you know? Fucking hell. Alright, the performance is beginning. Places, please. Okay. In this scene, you'll be playing as me. We are gathering of professionals. First, you'll start out leaning against this wall. What? Good, stay right there. The woman across the room in this chair is a professional photographer of animals. If your dream to photographize an animal professionally, this is your chance to learn something from her, to gain something of success. Go on, say something to her. Oh. Hello? Hello, that's it? That's not a conversation. You should actually converse with her, be a human being, do it again. Here are all my hopes and dreams. No, that's not what I said to her. You're completely missing the tone of the conversation. I was reserved, but I know that what I wanted. I was confident. For some reason, it's just that one moment, but I was confident. Maybe it's that you need a better feel of the setting. There was a lot of people around. I will give you some props to work with. These codes are about when you touch them. Will represent the people nearby, not talk to her. You must have worked really hard to get where you are. You're messing it all up. You freak her out in the conversation. Get that personal quickly. Do you not realize how important this was for me? I've never get another opportunity to like this. Well, what did you say then? I want to try something. Try stepping back from the back of the stage. Okay. Like here. Oh yes, this is working now. This is what
The game
it's
ends
like.
with this eerie premonition of what's going to happen next in Coda's life. The solution to social anxiety, to fears of having to perform and having to chase success, the answer for Coda is to withdraw, to hide himself away. Which is what leads to scenarios like the stairs that slowed you down several games ago, where it just becomes harder and harder to access Coda's inner landscape because he keeps retreating. He just keeps backing away from possible connections to anyone other than himself. And to be honest, I didn't consider it very healthy when I first played this game. You know, it looked to me like he was trying to justify the idea of just disconnecting himself from the world. And that wasn't what I wanted for him or for his games. Because I feel like a lot of his games are inviting me to connect with his person, to bring him closer. But what can you do? After this, Coda went off and took another 5 months to make a new game.
I think making a game, play this game properly, you need to keep your eyes closed, click to begin the game. What's going on? Help, I'm blind. Please, someone talk to me. Tell me how to solve this. Huh?
You should probably open your eyes if you haven't already. It's pretty much impossible to solve otherwise. And there is a solution, by the way. Like I said, I was getting concerned. First off, he's never been this explicit in his work about exactly what he's thinking. So where's that coming from? But then even weirder, his work has potentially stopped being an outlet for him. Not like he's having trouble iterating on ideas, but he literally just can't think of new ideas anymore. And in person, he was being a lot more distant than usual. Like, you know how sometimes a person will just deflect anything that you say in order to keep themselves disconnected all the time? It was that kind of thing. Here was the point in my relationship with Coda where I really started to wonder if he needed my help in some way. His games are going to get more desperate from here on out. After this game, it's almost 6 months before he finishes something new.
I don't think it's desperation. I think it's just an outlet. If actually someone makes a game like that, it's more of a recognition of what is wrong with them, and it's easier it's actually healthy. Because if someone realizes something's wrong with them, then they can do something about it. Like, it's worse if someone maybe recognizes and ignores it, or doesn't actually give themselves an outlet. Hello. So I guess from the outside it might look unhealthy, but actually it's the opposite. Where did this island come from? Is that a person? How lovely. It's been a long time since I talked to anyone. What's wrong? You look lost. I'm completely out of ideas. I think he just wants an escape, an outlet. What happened? Did something change? There was a machine that kept me going and it stopped. I'm trying to find this engine that used to protect me to start it again. Wait, you're looking for a machine? I think I know where it is. It isn't far. Hello, machine. I need to see it to know why it stopped.
If the last game featured Coda talking explicitly about his creative frustrations, this one turns it up to 11. Now, put yourself in my shoes playing this. Here's a friend whose work is exhibiting signs of struggle, frustration, anxiety, depression, even. And yet, still, he keeps making games. He keeps throwing himself into the grinder even when he clearly doesn't have the energy for it anymore. Why? What is it for?
Himself. Come along, I'll show you.
Because from my perspective at the time and just what I knew of him, this was a result of how isolated he was. He was in his own little bubble, just sitting at his computer all day, not really showing these games to anyone, not releasing them onto the internet, and so he didn't have anyone outside of himself to connect with. He had no outlet to ground himself on.
You have to close the door. The door's already closed. Huh. You have to open the door. And now you have to close the first door. Oh. I didn't mean to do that. Just press the switch. Sorry, I was going to pray.
You can't talk yourself out of loneliness. It doesn't work that way. You can't be the one writing both the questions and the answers. Then there's no movement. Then there's no circulation. If all of your anxieties are being channeled into your work, then if the work ever fails, you have no backup and you're just going to crash.
But it wasn't true. Don't worry about it, just keep talking. Keep saying the creation is easy.
Seeing this game at the time that he made it, it looked really unhealthy to me. I was watching him do this to himself, and I hated it. I hated seeing him so trapped. It's like,
But
video games are not worth this amount of suffering. This is someone I really cared about. And I used to get so much joy out of seeing him create. For him to suddenly become angry and frustrated like this, it was the worst thing for me. I don't know. This is what I felt at the time. I don't know how else to explain it. I wanted it to stop more than anything. I had never felt so rotten. I needed more than I had ever needed anything for this to stop. But it didn't stop.
'cause it's not
After
your
finishing
issue.
this one, Coda takes another 7 months and comes up with a new game.
It's not your problem, it's Coda's problem. The machine. Glad to see you arrived safely. We've captured the machine that's waiting for you. Begin the investigation whether you like it. I intend to be brutal. Very good. Just be warned that someone called the press, so we might have a bit of attention on this. Also, one more thing that you could know about the machine. It calls itself Coda. Sorry, I'm not talking to the press at this time. Hello, Coda.
And of course, it's the machine.
Stop. Stop feeding us. There's people out there, can you imagine the pain you put them through? It was only because of your creations that any of us can make it through every day. How could we possibly go back to trusting you to do this job? So here's what needs to happen. You need to go to the people who are out there and apologise to them. You have to admit to the people that you allowed them to suffer. I've been so alone. This isn't about anyone else. It's about Coda. Apologise for leaving me. No, nothing. That's careful. I know how to hurt you. I've seen the things you fear. Right then. I will apologise to the people on your behalf. The machine would like to apologise to you all. My friends, I have a troubling revelation. The machine will not apologise to us, but this is not important. We are stronger than it thinks we are. Let us show that we are not failures. Follow telling me we will destroy the machine. Coda, and make sure you are known forever. Isn't that what you're scared of? Exposed to the view of others every day, forever seen in naked clarity. Oh.
So now the work is becoming self-destructive. And I'll tell you, at the time that I first played this game, shortly after he made it, here's what I'm thinking to myself. I'm thinking that Code is stuck in his own head, and that it's having a very negative effect on him, and that all he needs to do is just start showing his work to people, to get some actual feedback on his games. It might get him out of isolation. And so, as I'm thinking this, I realize that I could be the one to initiate it. Because it would never occur to Coda to start actively soliciting feedback, so what if I did it for it?
But he didn't.
If he could see the difference it would make to have more actual conversations with other human beings, would that bring him out of his mental spiral? Would it give him confidence in himself? Would it bring meaning back into his work?
That's not what I wanted, though, is it?
So I started showing Coda's work to people. I took this one, and the islands which you just played, the theater, the notes, the house cleaning game, and some of the prison escape games. I brought them to people that I knew and trusted. I asked their opinions. And the great part is that they really loved his games. You know, the point of it all was just to give him some external reference point, but they genuinely loved his work. There was nothing for him to be afraid of.
But is that what Coda wanted? Put down your weapon.
Can you see why I felt like this was the right thing to do? Because it's the thing that I always feel like I need, to be told that my work is good, that I am good. When someone really connects with a thing that I've made, when they see themselves purely in my work, there's nothing that feels better. And I got to give that very same feeling to my friend. I did something, I really felt like I'd done something good, like I was a good person. I felt like there was a friend who was in trouble and was unhappy and maybe didn't like themselves, and I could fix it. If I could give him this gift, maybe I could fix the problem. When they told me how much they enjoyed his games, it was the best feeling. It was the absolute best feeling. It made me feel so happy.
You were
so
getting the feeling, not him.
Beautifully happy. So anyway, Coda finishes this game, and then really he just kind of takes off for a while. So this is June of 2011, and I didn't hear anything from him for several weeks, I guess. And so out of nowhere, one day I get an email, and it's got a private link to a new game of Coda's. This one is called The Tower, and to my knowledge, it's the last game that Coda ever made. So let's take a look.
June 2011. The Tower.
And this is where I have trouble saying anything meaningful about Coda's work. Because more than anything else, The Tower just feels distant. It feels like it's trying to distance itself from the world. It's a very cold game.
Maybe that's the point. He sent it to you, maybe it's a distancing from you.
This room actually has a maze in it. Except that all the walls of the maze are invisible. And then every time you touch one of the walls, there's this awful flashing and noise, so the experience is really miserable. The game goes beyond not being meant to be played, it actually seems to despise the player for trying to play it at all. But I do want to show you the rest of the levels, so when you're ready to continue, press enter and I'll put a bridge over the maze.
Feels like more like a...
And to be fair, it's not like this is the first game that's needed some modification to be playable. Like the house cleaning game. You know, that one used to actually loop the cleaning chores and you just cleaned a house forever. I had to cut it off so that you could exit the house and the game would actually end.
that's
But
not the point.
that game had an idea that it was actually trying to communicate. What's the deeper idea behind the invisible maze? The only way past this challenge is to randomly guess the 6-digit code. Like the invisible maze, it's frustrating to me, because it's the opposite of everything else that Coda has made. It doesn't encourage thought or engagement. It doesn't ask anything of me, except a lot of my time. If I could have reached him during this time, then maybe I could have asked him, but I couldn't. I still don't really understand why this is here.
It's meant to piss off the
I'll put the
player.
code on the ground for you here, though, so that we can move on.
It's meant to just upset the players. They don't... Oh, I went past it. Because you were showing games that weren't meant to be played. It was just for Coda. Or maybe some of his friends. They weren't meant to be played by like an average player.
The switch to open this door is actually on the other side of the door, meaning that it's literally impossible to solve from this side. So even if you somehow brute forced your way through the first 2 challenges, and you got to this point, there's actually just no way to progress. And it's scary for me, the idea of Coda cutting himself off entirely, just saying, you know, that's it, that's the end of the conversation, not giving me any way to fix the problem.
He doesn't want you to.
I feel like a failure, I guess, when I can't fix the problem.
Maybe that's what he wants you
But I
to
can
feel.
open this door for you, so let me do that.
Maybe
Was
that's
I a
what...
failure for not understanding this game? I mean, I don't know why I would be. It's not like everything needs to have a solution, but I feel it somehow. I feel like I failed, and I don't understand why. I remember, it's June of 2011. I'm playing this for the very first time, and as I'm playing, I'm thinking to myself, I don't know this person. I have no idea who this person is. It wasn't the guy I knew, it wasn't my friend. I had come to so many conclusions from looking at all of his work up to this point, and then suddenly none of them... I had been trying to, though. That was the thing. For years I was trying to get to know him, to understand who he actually was and what he stood for. I asked him so many times to please just tell me what his games mean to him. I asked him please to tell me what the 3 dots mean. And he wouldn't. I just felt so strongly that if I could have connected with him, that if I could have somehow made his work my own, that I would finally be once and for all happy. It was that I needed to see myself in someone else. I needed to be someone other than me. But he stopped and left, and it felt somehow like I had failed.
Pushed him away.
Where did I screw up?
I think it was when you first played his game. The first one.
I'm the reason that you stopped making games, aren't I? It's because of what I did. I poisoned it for you. I don't think I ever told you this, but when I took your work and I was showing it to people, it actually felt... it felt as though I were responsible for something important and valuable. And the people who played them, they treated me like I was important. They really listened and cared about what I had to say. Even though I was showing your work, I felt good about myself. Finally. For a moment, while I had that, I liked myself.
You added the lamppost? What the
And then you stopped, and I didn't have anything left to show people. I just had to be with myself. And as soon as that happened, there was no feeling at all. Nothing. Less than nothing. What does that mean?
Struggling to come up with new ideas is not making me depressed. Low points are just part of the process. He's right. You're not high all the fucking time. Everyone has low points. There's a difference between a low point and depression. You wanted to be him, and you wanted him to be you. He's right, you're not his problem to solve, and he's not your problem to solve.
I'm afraid that I did something really stupid because I don't like myself. That's why I'm releasing this collection of your work, is because I haven't been able to find any other way to reach you. I've tried everything. And so a part of me has hope that if I put this compilation out into the world, and if I put my name on it, that maybe enough people will play it so that it'll find its way to you, so that I can tell you that I'm sorry. I know I screwed up.
Exactly what he doesn't want you to.
If I apologize to you truly and deeply, will you start making games again? Please, I need to feel okay with myself again. And I always felt okay as long as I had your work to see myself in. I mean, is something wrong with me?
Yes.
Because I know that I did an awful thing, and I'm doing it again right now. Like, I'm showing people your work, but I can't stop myself from doing it. That's how badly I need to feel something again, like I'm an addict. There has to be something wrong with me. Can I apologize? What if I tell you I was wrong? Will that work? Will that fix it? I don't know. I don't think it will, but there's nothing else that I can do. Just tell me what you want. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Please, start making games again. Please help me. Please give me some of whatever it is that makes you complete. I want whatever that wholeness is that you just summoned out of nothing and you put into your work. You were complete in some way that I never was. And I want to know how to be a good person. I want to know how not to hate myself. Please. I'm fading, and all I want is to know that I'm going to be okay.
Wow, this is a deep fucking game. Like, I don't know how to respond to that. That is... Epilogue. A lot.
More love, more praise, more people telling me that I'm good. Always more. It's like a disease. Solution.
It's not always a solution. And that's when you just have to accept it. And there isn't.
I guess if someone had told me ahead of time that he just really enjoyed making prison games, maybe I wouldn't have thought he was so desperate. I wouldn't have told so many people that he was depressed. Maybe he just likes making prisons.
Yeah, but maybe it is just that simple, mate.
Even now, the disease is telling me to stop. Don't show people what a shitty person you are. They'll hate you.
Don't think people should hate you. I think it's just it would be asking. I think people shouldn't really hate you. People should just ask you to get help. Yeah, because you're just projecting your own insecurities and fears onto other people.
If I knew that my life depended on finding something to be driven by other than validation, what would that even be? It's strange, but the thought of not being driven by external validation is unthinkable. Like, I actually cannot conceive of what that would be like.
It's weird. It's not easy to not be driven by something like that.
What now?
Even when you think you're not, like there's still part of you that is. Especially when
I think I need to
craved it
go.
for so long.
And I'm sorry, because I know that I said that I would be here and I would walk you through this, but I'm starting to feel like I have a lot of work to do. I have a lot that I need to make up for. And so I'm just gonna... Okay.
Bye. Gotta go through the doorways. I can't not go through the doorways. This is a very like very like, what's the word? Philosophical game. It makes you think a lot. And he's right. A lot of people can't not be driven by validations of others. It's not something that's like easy to not get driven by. And it's hard once you've gotten addicted to it. It's hard to stop getting addicted, even if it might get better over time where you might be less dependent on it. But there's always like a voice in your head telling you like it's not good enough unless everyone loves it. I'm just going on a loop. Oh no, I haven't. Oh, it's the beam. I'm right at the start. We've gone on a loop. This is a beautiful game though. Just the story behind it. I don't know how real it is. I'm guessing it's maybe not. I don't know. But just it's just a really good laid out story. And it's really well done. My thought process is I'm leaning towards it's not real, but nonetheless, it's very like human. A lot of people have stuff where they go through stuff like this. The endless maze. Hey look, down. Looks really pretty, but it just reminds me of the end. Is it like either the ending of the start of The Shining? I think it's the start of The Shining. No, it's the ending of The Shining. The start of The Shining is where they follow the car hills. So that was the beginner's guide. I really enjoyed that. That is such a beautiful game, and he always makes beautiful games anyway, but I do love that. So thank you so much for watching. If you did, remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.